Now, as we head into the final month or so of the season, let's have a look at the round 20 fixtures coming this weekend. We've got some big games with teams at this stage. It's all just about winning and try making your finals case. So we'll take a look through each game, see who I'll give my predictions on who I think will win, and then we'll also give a quick discussion around each game. I think we'll try and keep it brief. I think more of the discussions around the fallout for these games, because that's where the changes lie, because a lot of these teams, the key point is just got to win is what it all comes down to, and hope you stay fit and try and get the win. And so let's just get into it and kick it off with game number 1, the Friday night game. Carlton take on Port Adelaide in Melbourne at Marvel Stadium, and I think this is a case where, as I said, both teams need to win. Port are currently in 7th. Carlton are in 2nd. Carlton just need to keep the momentum going and try and stay in that top 4 race and see whether they can potentially even try and pip Sydney to the minor premiership. That would be, I think, a good confidence booster for the Blues to be able to do that. But for them, the biggest thing is stay healthy and get wins. Just keep the momentum going, keep it alive, and I think they will this week. I think Carlton will get the win over Port. I think Port just seem so up and down. Carlton have that momentum. They know what's at stake. It's in Melbourne, I think, makes a big difference. Adelaide teams away from Adelaide versus Adelaide Oval, I think for both the Crows and Port are vastly different teams, and so I think it'll be tough for Port to get that win, and Blues having a bit of a scare, I would say, with the Roos last week. They'll be knowing not to take any team too lightly, and so they'll be looking to rebound, get a strong win, and I think they'll be able to do that this week. Then the Saturday games, the first game of the weekend, not first game of the weekend, the first game of the Saturday midday game is North Melbourne taking on Geelong at Blundstone Arena in Hobart, and so it's a big team going down to Perth, which isn't always the case. Quite often some of the, I would say, lower ranked teams in the comp often end up being the games that the Roos take down to Hobart, and so it's good for them to get a Geelong team who can be so hit and miss. And while North, I think, are stronger in Hobart, I think they have a bit of a not hometown advantage, but it is kind of their home away from home. I think they play well, a bit like the Suns in Darwin. So I think they'll be feeling a bit more confident there. I think it'll be a good game. I think they'll put up a fight, but ultimately the Cats will get the win. In my opinion, they'll be strong. They'll hold tight. Their experience will show through, and it'll be cold down in Hobart, but in Geelong they'll be used to that. A bit more country town. They'll be able to hold up with it well, and I think they know what needs to be done. Chris Scott's an experienced coach, and he knows what it takes to get your side into finals and get your side playing well. So I believe the Geelong will be able to hold firm and get the win, but I can see it being another close game like the Roos game against the Blues. The Saturday afternoon game this weekend is the Q Clash being held at People First Stadium, which I think is a big advantage to Gold Coast. We mentioned earlier their struggles away from home, staying down the coast, making the Lions travel will be good for them. It's important they win. I think for the Suns, if they lose this game, they're out of finals. That's their only chance to keep their hopes alive. They're currently in 12th. They can play amazingly at home, yet can't win away. So to keep any hopes alive, if they've got to keep that home form going, they've got to at least try and give themselves a chance and make the turnaround be their away form, becoming their away form at least starting to get some wins. Whereas if they lose games at home, then they're going to be out of contention, and the Lions it'll be tough. Both teams will be up for it, being the Q Clash. There's now a bit more of a rivalry in it. You can see it's growing now that both teams are a bit more established, and also both teams are a bit better. Definitely helps because you see some more competitive games, and the Lions will be looking to keep their form going and really keeping that top 4 fight alive and keeping it strong. And then the Suns, as I said, just need a win so that they can keep their finals hopes alive, not even just to make it. So I think there'll be an upset. I've got the Suns winning. I think they'll keep their form alive at home, and the Lions just have to slip at some point. And I think this is a game that's kind of a good one for the Lions to lose in a sense. If it wasn't a derby, I think that would be ideal for them in terms of the games coming to lose, because they then have 3 games after this. They can build back form for the finals, but it gives a bit of a reality check or a bit of a little bit of a dip to then mentally reset and then go back again. And I think Suns win this one. It will be a good game. It will be a close game, but ultimately Gold Coast get done and keep their finals hopes alive. The other Saturday afternoon game, I should say, is the St Kilda Saints taking on the Essendon Bombers. This could be an ugly match. I think it'll be a game where the Saints at times can play quite free-flowing, exciting football, as we saw against the Eagles. Other times they seemingly will drag an opposition right down to their level and play some scrappy, ugly football. And I think this will probably be one of those games, just because I think Essendon are too good to allow St Kilda to play free-flowing, but aren't so good themselves that they'll play it the other way, if that makes sense. I think it'll be an ugly game. It'll be a tight game, and it being at Marvel, I've got Essendon winning. I can see this probably it being a game where it's quite close most of it, and then Essendon kick away towards the end. I can see that being the case, or it's Essendon will come out quick and then it'll kind of just ebb and flow, and that early lead will be the difference maker. So they'll be coming out to prove a bit of a point. I think Essendon, just on the basis of losing such a close game last week, and feeling as though probably late they threw it away. With the chances they had, they'll be coming out with a refreshed mindset. Brad Scott would have got into them about something, probably their decision making and their execution late in the game. You'd see he was fired up in that post-match press conference, and so I think they'll get the win here, but I can see it being quite an ugly, scrappy game. The Saturday night game, though, there's actually 2 of them, thanks to the Perth derby being on. Allows for there to be a couple and avoiding some of the time clashes that often see at this time. So the first one is the Melbourne Demons taking on the GWS Giants over at the MCG. I think this could be an exciting game. With Melbourne, I've said before, I had no idea how to judge them, what team's going to show up, and whereas the Giants look near untouchable at the moment. Their form is firing on all cylinders. They've really got that camaraderie, and it feels as though they've got a bit of that mindset and confidence that they've had early to start the year, as well as in last year when they made that prelims push. So I actually expect the Giants to win this week. I can see it being a case where they it'll be probably a tight game early, and then say in the third quarter the Giants kind of show their quality, and I can see it being a big game for Jesse Hogan as well. I can see him having quite an outing as he looks to try and close the gap on Charlie for the Coleman, and so I think Giants will get it done, and then Melbourne will be in a bit of free fall. I think after this game, just struggling and a bit of turmoil. I can see the media headlines going a bit crazy, especially carrying further on with the Clayton Oliver rumours. And then we've got the Perth derby after that. As I said, Fremantle Dockers taking on West Coast Eagles. I think the Dockers will get it done. It'll probably be quite a convincing win. I know derbies are often closer, and form, as they say, goes out the window, but I think Fremantle just have the confidence. They know what's at stake. They've got a bit more on the line. They're on the cusp of the top 4 right now, in 4th, and so a loss here can see them drop out of that, which is damaging for an interstate team who's looking to ensure they get a home final. And the Eagles will be looking to spoil that party, the rivalry, but I think it's just going to be a case of too much. I think the Fremantle Dockers will just be too strong, I should say, and hold out. And so they just need to stay in the top four and do everything they can. And a win here will really help them cement that spot and really help keep that momentum up heading into finals. So I think the Fremantle Dockers will get it done. The Sunday games, the first game of the day is the Collingwood Magpies taking on Richmond Tigers. It's funny, when I saw this game there, I was like, in a couple of years ago, this would have been one of the top fixtures of the round. It'd be on prime time, it'd be everywhere, but it's at the MCG. There'll probably be quite a lot of fans there, but 1:10 on a Sunday, to me, both teams are out of finals contention. I think it would take a miracle from the Pies to turn it around if they were going to try and make it into the 8. They'll get the win here. I think they're just too good for Richmond, but I can see it being a convincing win as well, coming out to prove a point after the big loss to Hawthorn that they suffered last week. But it's a case where Magpies will go out, get the win, and I don't think there'll be too many talking points. It'll be as we expect. Magpies get the win, but their finals chances will still be out the window, and Richmond will just continue that tank as they kind of need to do to finish bottom and try and get the number 1 pick. The probable game of the round on Sunday is the Sydney Swans in Sydney, I should say, taking on the Western Bulldogs, the high-flying Bulldogs, just in form, and Swans coming off a loss. As we mentioned earlier, the injury to Papley as well is a concern for him. They'll be hoping he'll come back, and so he'll come back before finals, I should say. And so his, at the time of recording, this is on a Tuesday, so before any of the news comes out related to the injuries or the team sheets. Unclear what the status is, but the Bulldogs are flying high. They'll need to keep it going. The Swans, I think they seem as though they're almost just waiting for the finals to start. That's kind of where they're at. The season's wrapped up. They'll likely finish first. That'll be the end of that. They've been first for so long. It's almost as if it's a bit boring for them, the regular season. I shouldn't say, but it just is how it is. And so I actually expect there to be an upset. I think the Bulldogs will get it done in Sydney. I think they've just got more to prove and more on the line to get the win. They've got more need for it. And with the quality in that Dogs side, with the likes of Chalor and Bontempelli, I think they'll prove strong. And so the Bulldogs will get the win. I think it'll be the game of the round. I think it'll be exciting. It'll be potentially high scoring, but it'll be really close, and it'll be good for the Dogs to get a win and probably get themselves into the 8 with the win. And Sydney, it'll just be a case of a tough game, lots going on, but they'll just be focused on getting to finals fit and healthy and going from there. So I think the Dogs will be an upset. And then in the final game of the round, it is the Adelaide Crows taking on Hawthorn Hawks in Adelaide this week at Adelaide Oval, obviously. And I may be biased in the sense of being a Crows fan, and I think the Crows will win. I think we've just got a bit of momentum. Boys are up and about after last week. I know the Hawks will be too, absolutely, with a bigger win and the freedom and confidence they're playing with, which I'm loving to see. I think it could be quite an exciting game. I definitely can see it being relatively high scoring and being exciting, fast paced, and lots to play with, a lot of character and emotion. But I think whereas the Crows are just looking to keep our form going. They've said in interviews that they still believe they can make finals, and while I don't think that is the case, although mathematically it is technically still, I don't think the Crows will be able to do it. I think they've got that mindset, they've got that goal that they're hunting for, and while the Hawks are too, I think it'll be a good game. The Hawks, I just don't think will quite. they're still young and inexperienced, and I think that just does lead to inconsistencies, and the Crows fans will be up and about. And the Crows, as I said earlier, with relation to Port, Adelaide teams in Adelaide are just different. They're much better. I think the Crows will get over the line in this one and it may be more of a hope than a prediction, but it's where I'd be going with this, and so the Crows win. But that's the preview to round 20 of the AFL fixture list coming out this weekend. Let's take a look at the AFL ladder predictor, and I'll put in my predictions for the remainder of the season. We'll see how it all plays out, and we'll maybe even see who I've got winning the flag.